Hi, welcome to my presentation for my final year project. For my project, I built an Android mobile application. The name of it is Live Green. It's an application to encourage people to become more environmentally friendly, environmentally sustainable. Um, these are just screenshots from my phone of the application just to get a feel for it. So the main idea is just to select tasks to follow and just inform the app that you've followed the tasks. Then you get a point and you can view your progress in a graph. So it's more for people that want to become better but they don't know how. So it will give them a list of tasks to let them know, like, if you do this, like if you hang dry clothes, if you fill a dishwasher before using it instead of using it half done, like this is really good, like well done, you deserve a point. It's a self-motivational tool. It's not for people that aren't already interested in sustainability unless they're just really competitive and want to compete against themselves. But it's for people who want to make a difference. So I kind of built it for someone like me, like the motivation was myself, I would like to use an application like this. Um, so the prototype methodology I used was, so this prototype methodology I used was, the methodology I used was prototype methodology. Um, that consists of me creating prototypes in the form of iterations. So for each iteration I made, I had the heading of research and planning stage, front end development, back end development, and results and conflicts. So an example would be iteration one, when I set up for users to be able to log in or sign up to the account and log out. So the research and planning I would have done for that was looking into Firebase documentation for my database, how to authenticate users, researching popular displays for Android sign up, like sheets and login like displays, and then that would be then front end development of building the screen displays, the layouts that I did already have set up for my wireframes, but I did make differences from just looking up um popular like styles. So like an example of changing from the styles was in my wireframes I had round buttons, but I changed it to square because that's just, it would be more of a popular style. And then results and conflicts, anything that I ran into that was like a big issue and how I resolved it, or if I didn't resolve it, why didn't I resolve it, or how I worked around the issue. I liked doing prototype methodology because it did allow me to test constantly. So I got to test after each iteration instead of doing one big test at the end. It was hard to get used to at first. Kind of kept forgetting I was working on iterations and I was trying to just do everything all at once instead of breaking it up. So say for the first three iterations, they weren't really split up. That was me just trying to build the application, and I had to kind of realize I have to set goals. I have to set, like, I should have, if I was going to do this differently, I would have pre-planned my iterations. Halfway through the semester I did send a plan to Fiona. This was when the college was closed due to coronavirus. I did send a plan to Fiona to just say this is what I want to get done in the next 2 weeks. And I wish I did that from the very start, because from then on it was so much easier. I was able to move on. My time management actually improved so much better from after March because I was doing it that way. So when I couldn't complete a function, I just moved on and tried to do something else and then came back to that iteration. Um, I also liked this approach because it let me set milestones in my development, it let me track my progress. It was like ticking off the box of each iteration was really good, of like knowing how far I was on my development of my application. So the tools and technologies I used Kotlin for the language. It's really similar to Java. I chose it because it's like an easier version, I think, of Java. I think it's easier to read than Java. I did always struggle with Java, and even though it comes from Java, I just thought it was a lot easier to understand and read. There aren't as many resources online, but it's not too hard to kind of convert your code into Java. And Android Studio, which is the software that I used, converts some code from Java to Kotlin as well. The database I used was Firebase, it's NoSQL. This was my biggest risk because I've never used NoSQL before, and database is just not a strong point for me. I feel really comfortable with it now. The documentation that comes for Firebase is so good, and they make it really easy to follow. They kind of gave me inspiration for different ideas. Like I have a search and filtering bar in my application that came from the Firebase docs. I was inspired by that because they just show you every single thing you can do with a database, and I just think that's really good because it lets you build and get ideas and to get like a better app. So I feel a lot more comfortable with NoSQL now. Even though it was for Firebase specific, I would feel more confident to work on more databases in the future. And then I had a library I imported called MP Android Chart, and that was for my graphs. And the reason I chose this was when I was looking into different graphs I could use. There is one for Android, but this one, there's a lot you can do for the design and the front end. And as a creative computing student, that appealed to me a lot. I really enjoyed using MP Android Chart. It took a lot of research though, especially because I was pulling data from from Firebase from my database, so I had to combine learning two new things into one. So that did take a good while of research and planning, and rather than it took up more research and planning than actually development, but it was well worth the while because I really like the graphs. I think they just add a lot more to the application that I've built. It has also inspired, like, made me feel more confident, sorry, to use more libraries like that you can add into an application to just kind of make it look more professional, have more choice, have more functionality in an application. Obviously, I wouldn't have had the time for the amount of time given for my final year project, but if I was going to do something in my spare time, or if I was ever going to do anything like this again, I would look into adding more libraries that are like similar to MP Android Chart. For backup, I use Bitbucket and SourceTree. So every time I just did new development, like say I did the edit feature, as soon as that was done, I would just push that code up to SourceTree. It's really good if you make a mistake, or if you like change your code and you want to go back to the way it was, like start from scratch kind of, you can just go back to to Bitbucket and pull the codes that you'd already put up. And then the software I use, the Android Studio, worked really well. Used it on my laptop all the time. I don't think it ever crashed on me, and it was really good. I also used my phone instead of the emulator. I had planned to use the emulator, but it was just really slow, and I have an Android phone, and it just looked a lot better for my phone. So the main functionality of Live Green, it's basically so users can select tasks file per week. They can navigate through different categories of tasks to select. This will probably make more sense when you see my demonstration, but when they select the task they want to follow, the tasks will display in their home screen, and there'll be a button beside each task for the user to select when they've completed it. When they complete it, they get 1 point, and that's stored in the database. And then when you go to view your pie chart or your bar chart, it will display, based on the amount of points you have for each task, it will display how well you're getting on. The pie chart kind of compares each task against each other percentage wise, and the bar chart just shows all the tasks you have selected compared to each other. Users can also view vegan and vegetarian recipes to help them complete some tasks. The reason I chose to put this in is because Veganuary and Meatless Mondays, etc., have become such big trends, and it's in the idea of becoming more sustainable because the dairy and meat industries cause so much pollution. So some people just kind of try to do Meatless Mondays and that to cut down on their own personal carbon footprint, say. So the recipes are stored on my database, and I can pull them down. You can view a list of recipes, and when you select on that recipe, it will bring up the full method, ingredients, and then users can create an account and they can log in and out of their account. I had Delete set up, and when I changed it to the nav drawer, I realised it wasn't actually working and I just didn't have time to fix it. Users can edit the personal information that they've set, so their name, date of birth, gender, and they can sign up using an email address which they have to verify to make sure that it is a real email, or they can sign up using Google. So for future development, I would like to set up recipe rewards that when a user gets a certain amount of points, they get like a new recipe to view. Just instead of an inspirational message, which is all I have, I just have like a pop-up to be like, well done, you're doing really good, when they get to every 20th point. Then another possible development would be to allow users to follow each other or like friend each other on the app and view each other's tasks and compete against each other, maybe set up like, oh, who can get to a certain amount of points a week. Then also to collect more data and personalise the app based on user information. So if I could collect, say, a user's likes and interests. For example, if I could find out if a user drives, then I would show them tasks that is like, try not to drive this week, or walk instead of drive, or cycle instead of drive. Whereas if a user doesn't drive, there's no point in showing them tasks like that. So that's just an example of how collecting more data would be able to let me personalise the app more. Another idea I had, this could probably be a separate application on its own, or just a feature of this one, but it would be to add a map to the application that would display different locations near the user that they could use as a task. So say if a user is near a recycling centre, they can choose to add that as a task, and the app will track their location, and if they see that the user has been in a recycling centre recently or near the recycling centre, then they'll say, okay, that's a task that you've completed, instead of the user having to go in and let them know that they've completed that. And then there's the demonstration of my application, which is in a separate video because I had to record it from my phone and I don't have a video editor on my laptop. Apologies for that. So thanks very much for listening, and looking forward to the question and answers meeting in the future. Thanks very much.